Good morning and welcome to Living Local 15. I'm Jessica Williams. Thank you for joining me today. If you've been keeping up with our Growing for the Future Farm series, then you're in for a treat. Today, I return to Warpup Farm in Warren, Indiana to check out our crop, and wow, has it grown. But has it reached above my head in height? You'll have to wait and see. Plus, I climbed their 60-feet grain bin to get the full cropping experience. And later, we are getting some sound advice about federal student loan payments. As you know, they're back, and it's time to start paying again. And I speak with the Vice President of Invest Ed, a free resource to manage your education debt here in Indiana, and he shares some great tips. Are you ready? Let's get started.
Fashion, food, and fun. You're watching Living Local 15 with your host, Jessica Williams.
This segment sponsored by the Indiana soybean and corn farmers. Welcome back to Growing for the Future. I am here on the Warpup Farm, and look, I am very high up next to this grain silo. And today I'm so excited to speak to Brian and to learn more about the harvesting process and how he takes the crops from the field to the truck. Come join me. I am back chatting with Brian Warpup, who is a director at the Indiana Soybean Alliance. Hi, Brian.
Hi, welcome back.
Thank you. Such a beautiful day. The sun is out, and look at your crops.
It has grown quite extensively this summer.
Wow. Like you said to me, it's going to be over your head.
Yeah.
And now look, it is over my head. This is so cool. So this is all corn here.
This is all corn.
Yes, and so tell me, what stage are we in?
Well, we are almost in the mature stage right now, so it's almost done. A few more weeks here and it'll be completely mature. It's taken all summer here. I told you it was going to get 8 to 10 feet tall, and this is where it's at right now.
Yes. Okay, so what's next? What's the next process? Once it gets to this, what do you do?
We wait on it. We wait for Mother Nature kind of to what we'll call dry it down so it'll mature. And then probably next month, in the next few weeks, we'll start harvesting it. So it's an exciting time for me when we start harvesting it with the combine, but that'll be our next stop.
Okay, awesome. Well, let's take a look at it. Oh my goodness, up close and personal.
Sure. Yep, so here's the ear of corn. And I'll husk it back for you. So that's what it looks like today. And it's almost mature, but it's still got a few more weeks before that.
Can you take it off the thing? Okay,
pop it off.
Let's see.
There you go.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. It looks done. I mean, it's so incredible that it still needs to mature more.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to teach me how to husk it back, okay?
Okay, so I always take it off, but I always break it off like this.
Okay.
And then just peel it back like that.
Let's see.
Yeah.
You hold this. Okay, so you have to do it with strength.
Yep.
Peel it back like that. Wonderful. Yeah.
And when I'm in my combine will do all of this very quickly.
Okay, so this is not a manual process.
This is not a manual process. No, not at all.
Okay,
not at all.
So cool. Next, I want to go over and look at what happens after you actually take it off and how you use these materials.
Sure.
All right, let's do it. So Brian, a lot of times when people think of a farm, they think of livestock, cows and chickens and pigs. Do you have any livestock here?
I do not have any livestock. We haven't had livestock on this farm for around 40 years.
Really?
Yeah, so when you think of a farm, you kind of think of that old McDonald farm,
right?
Which my grandparents had. They had cows, they had pigs, they had chickens. Presently, we're a little more consolidated on what we do. So we're a grain farm. I can go down the road and there's a man there who has hogs. I can go a couple miles down the road and there's a dairy.
Okay.
So we supply the feed, the corn and the soybeans for those farming operations. So we all kind of get our expertise in ag now instead of doing the whole thing like we used to 2 generations ago.
Yeah, I love that. More of a niche. And so what makes a farmer decide if they should have livestock or just grain?
A lot of it is family or economics.
Okay.
If the economics aren't there, some people will get into it or get out of livestock. My family chose to get out of it in the 1970s, and we've never got back in. So we kind of concentrated more on the grain end of it, and that's where we've spent all of our energy the last decade, 2 decades doing that.
Wow. Okay. And so we have some of the grains here.
Yes. Yes.
So talk to me about what we're looking at.
Okay, so this is last year's crop. This is the corn that I raised last year, and these are some of the soybeans that I raised last year.
Wow. Look at that. So this is the final.
Yep.
The final look at it after it's all out of the harvest. And these are soybeans. Wow. So talk to me about how these are specifically used in the different items that we may not be aware of.
Sure,
that
sure.
We actually eat these.
I mean, unless you are a tofu eater, you're probably not going to consume soybeans like a soybean. But soybeans, when they're processed, they're about 36 or 37% oil. So the processor wants to extract that oil, and it can be used for biodiesel, it can be used for food additives, it can be used in many different foods. But what's left over after the oil is called bean meal, and that is a very high protein source. So that goes into a lot of chicken feed, a lot of hog feed. So if you know, for chickens, eggs, egg production, any kind of swine, that's what the soybean goes for. Corn will be ground as feed too, and it's a very good base product for a lot of animal feed. Okay. And so there's a lot of cattle, chickens, hogs, you name it, that's livestock that will consume that.
Yes, and you have so much land here, and I'm sure that you probably produce more crop than what the animals can kind of take. So what happens to the excess?
So during the fall, which is coming up here real short, when we harvest, there's a large glut of product coming to the market.
Yeah.
So we store it in bins or silos, and we hold that all year long, so that the producers or the end users can have that all year long, and so we deliver that 12 months a year to them.
Wow. So tell me about that process of getting it out of your location and exporting it to all these places that need it.
Sure. So we put it in the bin. Once it's in the bin, it sits there for several months until the market calls for it, and then we will extract it from the bin, whether that be from a conveyor or an auger, and we put it on a semi. And that semi goes to the delivery point, whether that be for biodiesel or ethanol or feed for chicken. That's where that goes to the end market.
Okay, and we're going to be able to see a little bit of that process.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, but I know I have to go high.
We're going to go on top of the bin.
On top of the bin. Okay, so let's do it.
All right.
Stay tuned. So Brian, share with us the process of getting the grains out of this bin into the truck.
Sure. Well, this corn has been in this bin for about 10 or 11 months. It's last year's crop, and we've been storing it to go to market right now. So what we do is there's an auger that's under the floor of this bin. I press a button into another auger, the yellow auger here, and the tractor turns it, and it gets loaded loads the semi. And when the semi's full, I'll end up taking it to market.
Definitely a workout. We made it to the top, Brian.
We're here.
Wow, how many steps was that?
87.
87 steps, and look at this stunning view. Like, wow, I just want to take it in for a moment. You get to see this every day.
Every day, corn and soybeans everywhere.
Wow, so incredible. And we're up here at the soy?
It's a grain bin.
Grain bin. We're up here at the grain bin, or you say a silo?
Or silo, yep.
Okay, and so what happens here?
So this is where it all gets dumped in after harvest. It dumps in the top, and it fills all the way up, and it holds about 123,000 bushels, so that's about 120 semi-loads.
Wow, and how high up are we?
We're only 60 feet off the ground.
60 feet, okay, not
Yeah.
too bad, not too bad. So Brian, before we go, I want to ask, what inspired you to be a farmer and what do you enjoy about it?
Well, I enjoyed it as a kid. Coming back to the farm though as an adult, I just enjoyed the business. I enjoyed taking that little seed every year and nurturing it and growing it and to what we've already witnessed here today. So that's what drives me is growing a good crop.
Yes, so inspirational, and just learning about each of these steps is so great. And I can't wait to learn more and to learn about the soybean side of it even
Sure.
further. We're going to visit that
Sure.
the next trip and see the final harvest. Stay tuned for more Growing for the Future here on Living Local 15. We'll be right back. This segment sponsored by the Indiana Soybean and Corn Farmers. Do you want to know the best places to go to eat and drink around Northeast Indiana? Well, join me, Jessica Williams, for Living Local 15, weekdays at 9 a.m. as I take you inside of the best restaurants, new and old, explore their menu, and of course, mix up some cocktails. Where will I go next? Well, you'll have to watch and see, but I want to know, where do you recommend I go?
Keep up with Jessica Williams on Living Local 15, weekdays at 9. Have an idea for the show? Want to find out how you can be a guest? Contact us at livinglocal15@wayne.com.
Did you know that over 900,000 Indiana residents have debt from education, with the average borrower owing about $32,000? Bill Wozniak, the Vice President of Communications and Student Services from Invest Ed, is here to share more. Hi, Bill.
Hello, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. Well, this is the perfect time to discuss this. As we all know, student loans are back active and students have to pay their first payment on October 1st. So can you start off by telling us how crucial it is for students to pay attention and to learn the status of their student loans right now?
Absolutely. With student loan repayment starting October 1st, interest starting on September 1st, servicers have changed, repayment options have changed. So many things have changed in these last 3.5 years while student loans didn't have to be repaid, that there's a lot of confusion out there, and a lot of times borrowers are not connected with their servicers and they're not getting the information they need, and sometimes they don't understand their options as well. So very, very important right now.
Okay. And what exactly is a student loan checkup?
So with all these types of federal student loan repayment options, including the brand new SAVE repayment option, with all of those options, with the different interest rates that are out there, and then private student loans, where sometimes people are paying well over 10% as an interest rate, we look at all the loans, federal, private, whatever somebody has, and then we help them with the options available so they can lower their interest rate, they can lower their monthly payment, or they can lower the amount owed, all these different types of things. We look at all the different options, find out what's best for them so that they're in the best place possible going forward.
Okay. And this is a service through Invest Ed?
Yes, nonprofit in Indiana, over 40 years, completely free.
Oh, wow. That is so amazing. Okay, that's so good to learn about your business. Can you give us a little background of how long you've been open and all the services that you provide?
Absolutely. So we were created back in 1980, 1981. And one of the big things that we do is we do over 900 events each year across the state with high schools and other organizations where we talk about planning for post-secondary education, all the different types of financial aid, all those different things so that people are in the best place possible when they get their degree or their certificate and they have the least debt possible. And then this stuff that we're talking about today is on the other side, after they graduate, after they have the loans to repay. So we try to do before, during, and after.
Okay, that's so wonderful. And there's so much to keep up with if someone has a student loan. What have you found to be one of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to borrowers having to pay back their student loans, or them wondering if they actually have to?
It goes both directions. We talk to families every day where the family thinks, I don't have to repay. I don't have to repay. It's not something that I have to do. And in many cases, they do. And it goes the other way as well. Sometimes people are like, oh, I have to pay this high rate, or I have to pay this big amount every month, otherwise I'm in trouble. And oftentimes that's not the case. There's better options. So some people that really need to take it more seriously are not, and some people that think they have no other options really do, and they think they don't.
Okay, and that statistic is so large. Over 900,000 Indiana residents have student loan debt. And so what do you think is the best way Hoosiers can actually start the process of repayment and get right back on track with making sure that these student loans are settled?
And that's why we talk about the student loan checkup, because with different servicers, different repayment options, all of this changed since the beginning of the pandemic. Our experts are able to help Hoosiers completely free organize their student loans, organize their options, examine all the up to the minute repayment options that they have, and those are changing almost monthly, and to really look at that and make sure they're in the perfect place so they don't miss payments, they don't overpay, and they don't get in a bad place. They just have to spend a little time now on the front end here as things really kick back in.
Yes. And Bill, a burning question right now is all about student loan forgiveness and if someone would be eligible for it. So what are the qualifiers, and will borrowers be eligible for student loan forgiveness?
So the student loan forgiveness that we get the most phone calls about is what's been talked about for the last year. And this was sort of the broad student loan forgiveness. And that was shot down by the Supreme Court. That is not happening. So these repayment plans that we talk about are just not only about $200 versus $100 or something like that. Sometimes your actual payment can be zero. And so a payment of zero can count as a payment. And that sounds odd to a lot of people, including the people that we talk to. But if you're in a certain plan, depending on how you're doing with your job and economically, sometimes your payment is zero. So that's not the forgiveness we've talked about the last year, but it's a different type of forgiveness. So the broad-based forgiveness is not happening, but these repayment plans are very interesting to look into and figure out what's right for yourself.
Okay. And if someone is interested in the student loan forgiveness plans in the future, is it just a matter of qualifying naturally through your income or through the records that the government has on file, or is it necessary to take the steps to actually submit your loan through the government websites?
The rules are changing, and that's again why we talk about reaching out to one of our experts. The rules keep changing, and this new SAVE plan used to be called the Repay Plan, and that had its own rules. And even before that, there were other income-driven repayment plans. And so, again, monthly, a couple times a year, these plans keep changing and the rules keep changing. And so that's why when somebody calls us, we can give them the up-to-the-minute information on what the rules are for the best plan for them on that given day. But even within the last 2 weeks, new things have been announced and they're changing.
All right. That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Bill. We appreciate your knowledge today.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Bill. And if you would like more information about Invest Ed, we'll have their website listed below. This is a free program provided to all Indiana residents. So it's so important to give them a call to find out the status of your student loan and to do a student loan checkup. We'll be right back.
Follow us on social media at Living Local 15.
Well, that's our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. And you can always rewatch episodes of Living Local 15 on WANE.com and also by downloading the WANE app. I hope you have an amazing day. And remember, it's never too late to live your best life. So start living it today. And I look forward to seeing you here tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Living Local 15, proudly driven by the Kelly Automotive Group. Go to the Living Local 15 page on WANE.com for recipes from the show, to watch a segment again, and to get information on products and services featured on Living Local 15. Follow us on social media at Living Local 15. Content segments during today's Living Local 15 were paid for by these sponsors.